further ado, let's hear from Mark Armijo Academy from their Executive Director, Sean Morris, and Melissa Santana, the Innovation Coordinator on Internships and Work-Based Learning. And can you guys share your screen?
Yes. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, you got to go back a few slides, Melissa.
There we go.
So thank you. We wanted to introduce ourselves first. My name's Sean Morris. I'm the Executive Director at Mark Armijo, and
I'm Melissa Santana, the Innovation Coordinator.
today we're going to talk about work-based learning and some of the opportunities that we provide. Not we as, I guess we as a school, but really in conjunction with working with our students, working with community, provide to our young adults, or our, I call them kiddos still. Mark Armijo Academy is a small charter. We have about 220 students. We are in the South Valley of Albuquerque, New Mexico. We work with brand new ninth graders that come through our door, but a large portion of the students that we work with are students that are seeking other opportunities, students that are re-engaging with the school system and trying to get back into it, and students that are really just looking for a school that provides agency, belonging, and connectedness. A lot of our students come from trauma-affected homes. They're raised by grandparents, non-traditional. Some are raised by brothers and sisters. So again, a lot of our students are that non-traditional student. And what we try to do when we get them here at Mark Armijo is really empower them through trust and giving them leadership opportunities. Again, a lot of our students are looking for that agency, belonging, and connectedness that many traditional schools do not provide. We try to provide that by providing them voice, giving them voice and choice, letting them design sometimes how their education looks, which includes flexible scheduling so that they can go out and do these, participate in these internships and these work-based learning opportunities. It looks different no matter the student that we're talking about. But again, we're trying to really get them into the school, show them that they belong, show them, connect with them, develop relationships with them, and then really empower them to be leaders and ambassadors, so that they can go out and make a difference in the community.
So, of course, with our work-based learning and what we do here at the school is, of course, we're focusing on the academic and school success experience for our students. So we also here at Mark Armijo provide students with the student digital portfolios, our senior capstones, and in this year we are expanding into our individualized learning plan that is inspired through our graduate profile. In order to create all these different types of components for our students, we had to use our students' voice to create a lot of these projects because kind of like I explained to the students when I'm speaking to them is I come from a completely different era in education where when I would go to the library, I would have to go to a course catalog and then use the Dewey Decimal System to try to find a book that I needed to read. Whereas they can use AI and bloop, bloop, populate and it comes up. So we needed to hear the voices of our students to be able to understand how to create programs where the students were going to be successful and it's going to be beneficial to them to be able to, propel forward and be able to move into post-secondary life, whether it be career technical trades, it can be college, it can be working, entrepreneurship, any way that they want to go, but we want to try to help them as much as we can here at our school. And then our learning culture is through motivation and experiences and life skills. So when students come up to me and they're looking for an internship, of course, it's looking at their grades, looking at how they're doing behavior-wise. And if a student has an F, doesn't mean that we're going to completely say, nope, you can't do an internship. they'll come in as kind of like a grace period. Okay, I'll set you up. We'll send you for an interview, and we'll kind of see how it goes. We'll do minimal hours, and then as your grades increase, we'll increase your hours. So it kind of gives them that motivation to want to be able to improve their grades so that they can earn money and then they can earn skills. But then they also start networking with their community and they start building those because it helps them to write a resume that says, I was able to do this skill, I have this person I worked with. And so the students then start feeling the sense of like, I can do it. I can go out there, I can meet new people, I can succeed. And so it starts building their confidence. So for us, we've been seeing that that's a great motivator for a lot of our students. But then as well as sometimes our community partners, of course, are more so like, this is the job force, this is the workforce, this is the expectation, X, Y, and Z. And so then I kind of go in there as well and support our community partners to remind them that they are students still, they're working at our school, and they do need some skills that's going to be able to help them to succeed. So if that means me going to the community partner site and kind of like evaluating the student, looking at the student, and then talking with the community partner and then talking with the student to bridge that partnership so that the student and the community partner can understand where that like disconnect could have been. It's always working with the students and standing by the students to make sure that they can be successful. And a lot of the times our community partners are thankful for that because it reminds them that these are our young students and they are still learning how to be young adults. So right here, once again, still our students are still able to participate. Let's say they do have their good grades, but then they start slipping because they have too many hours with their community partner. Then I will go ahead and reduce those hours until grades go up. I sit down with students and I talk with them and have a heart-to-heart conversation with them regarding a lot of these skills. And I do check their grades if they are on this portion of the internship, and meet with them, meet with the teachers, see what we can do and how we can build up the student so that they can be successful in their workforce. A lot of our requirements are our students that are in any internship do our vector trainings. So what does sexual harassment look like? Because that is something we're putting them in the workforce. So they need to know what that looks like. Bloodborne pathogens. What does that mean? How to take care of themselves in the event that something does happen at one of these internships. Background checks. If they're working with the youth, we make sure that all of our students have a background check to make sure that it is going to be a safe environment for all. If students are going to be working in our cafeteria, we make sure that they have their food handler certification so that they're doing everything that's health regulations. So we really want to set up our students the best that we can to be successful in any internship that we offer them or work-based learning opportunity.
And like Melissa said, I mean, number one goal is really just making sure that our students are successful in those opportunities. And sometimes they learn from positive experiences, sometimes they learn from negative experiences. But we really just want them to be successful overall. And really for them to start to decide for themselves, like, this is something that I could do for a lifetime, maybe, or I thought I was interested in this, maybe not so much. And sometimes it's just getting them out there into that workforce so that they can just experience multiple different places that we have internships at. So really it's getting them outside. Like I like to say, a lot of times, a lot of our students don't get outside of a 5-mile radius of our school. So this opportunity shows them that there's more out there in the world that they can latch on to, maybe start that fire. Because basically the goal for us is to get our students not just surviving, but thriving. Moving into community partners are a very important part of this piece of the puzzle of making sure that we have internships or work-based learning opportunities for our students to go out and experience. So really, and we're a community school, so that's the other thing about Mark Armijo that I don't think I mentioned previously. We're a community school. We do follow the 6 key strategies of community schools. And one of those is working with community partners. And sometimes those community partners are placements for our work-based learning. Sometimes those are community partners that come in and provide additional education. But again, we're always open to sitting down with different groups, different partners, seeing how this partnership can be mutually beneficial. So that, in the end, again, we're looking for partnerships that help our students to thrive and not just survive. But the partners are a foundation of the work-based learning that we do here at Mark Armijo, and the foundation of a community school and one of the community school strategies. When it comes to the work-based learning opportunities, we've provided a number of opportunities. Some of these come through conversations with students. Some of these come with conversations through partnerships. Ultimately, we bring everything together so that we're not just putting students in an opportunity that they may have no interest in, or we're not, matching students with an opportunity that we think is interesting. Because I think a lot of times as adults, we think this would be cool, or they would like this, and we're totally off. So really, I think part of this, again, is giving students voice and agency so that they can design their learning so that it works for them. Like Melissa said, I'm from a different era when it comes to education, but I feel like when I was going through school, very disconnected, and that's what we don't want for our students. We want them to be very connected to their learning and very connected to the outcomes of their learning. Some of the work-based learning opportunities that have been provided here at Mark Armijo have been group internships. So we work with a program called Latinos in Action, entrepreneurship, group internships. We're the Senior Capstone, Educators Rising. Those are all group internships where sometimes it is a group of like 10 or 15 students that work with an outside organization through a class. Sometimes it's a class that we design so that it's a whole semester. Sometimes it's maybe 10 events or 10 periods where this outside organization comes in. They have a curriculum that they've been working on or they want to refine, and they work with our students. Again, our students have voice, they provide feedback, they participate in those internships. They're a little more directed, those group internships, compared to maybe the work-based learning opportunities that are out at one of our partners. For instance, I want to say New Mexico Early Learning Academy. Our students go there and they learn how to work in early childhood. And again, it is directed, but they go as an individual or two, and it's a little different than those group internships. We also provide work-based learning opportunities on campus, and right next door with our community center. We are a partner of Alamosa Community Center, so we provide some work-based learning opportunities right here on campus, because we also understand that some of our students don't have the ability to travel across the city or even to go 10 miles from the school. So we want to provide our students with opportunities here on campus as well. So we do have a Youth Conservation Corps YCC program. We also do some near peer tutoring, which is a cool program where the kids that are interested in working in education or maybe becoming a teacher or working in early childhood, they tutor young individuals at the community center. The past 2 summers, they've tutored I think it's really K through 10 and the summer program at the community center. So we provide those opportunities that are either on campus or right next door, so that our students that don't have transportation can still participate in some of these opportunities.
And then just to add a little bit more detail, so our group internships, we do provide each student with a contract of their expectations of learning deliverables, attendance, participation that they need to contribute into. And then a timesheet is given to each student where the student signs it and the teacher signs it, indicating that those learning deliverables were completed. And that attendance is either at 90%, 80%, and so forth. And then based on that is how we would provide a stipend to our students for the work that they've completed and the level of engagement they have. So the first year that or first semester we tried that, pays weren't as high for some of the students, the stipend pay. The next semester, we saw that go up a lot because the students were like, I thought I was getting X amount. I said, mm-mm. If you read the contract, and that's why reading our contracts is important, it says it's up to. So you had to be able to complete X, Y, and Z. And then students were like, oh, so the next round, we saw an increase in engagement. The same thing for our work-based learning students. I provide students a semester worth of hours that is what their hours are going to be for them to be able to work. And I provide that to our community partner and to our student so that we're all on board as to when the student is going to be attending their internship, how many hours it looks like, and then as well as a timesheet is turned into me in case a student was absent and couldn't come. But then also our work-based learning students are also given a job description of what it is that they're going to be doing at their community partner site so that the community partner doesn't just kind of, because I've seen it happen in the past at other schools where they're just doing clerical work and they're not actually doing engagement in a community, in their internship. So it's really laid out for the community partner and the student that this is the expectation that they're going to have when they're at their community partner site. Some of the pathways that we have for post-secondary preparation is our educators, educatorizing. That's a new CTE pathway that we have now here at Mark Armijo. So students are going to be engaged in so many different courses per semester and per school year for preparing to be educators. They'll be able to go to different events and present their work to other partnerships and other schools. Our early childhood partnership that we have with New Mexico Early Learning Academy is all of our students that have graduated us, that were seniors and we're doing internships there. Once they've graduated, that placement then actually hires them on as full-time employees. Each year it has happened. And so they earn their early childhood certification. Agriculture is through our YCC program. So our students are exposed to, water irrigation. They're looking at planting, understanding tree health. So it exposes them to a whole different world of what it looks like to work with your hands and outside in nature. Bilingual education is another CTE program that we're offering here for a lot of our students that are bilingual, and so they can start earning their bilingual seal. Wellness and health is another program that we've added in where here on campus we have opened up a gym. One of our classrooms was converted into a gym, so students are able to go there, do weightlifting, learn about, and then take additional health classes to understand why maybe vaping is wrong, or not wrong, but bad for your health, and how the implications of that and so forth. Public safety is another CTE program that we've opened up here. And so talking about what it looks like to be a cop and what do you do there? What are detectives? What are the different level of work? Another program that we work with is through APS, Albuquerque Public Schools, is our CEC program. And so we have some students there that are taking nursing classes, digital marketing, vet tech. And through this, I do create another contract that the students have to meet these certain learning deliverables in order to earn a stipend to participate in these programs. Because a lot of times students were signing up for the programs, and they're great programs, but then they were kind of not fully committed to completing it. So once we started offering stipend work through this, we started seeing more engagement and students being able to complete the program. Oh, did I miss one? No, sorry. And then, so with that, our graduate profile work was created with all stakeholders. So it was our board members, our teachers, community partners, and then of course our students. That's who we needed to hear this from, to know what it is what skills it is that they need to be able to graduate with to be successful in the real world. And so the themes that emerged were financial stability and independence, personal growth and self-improvement, happiness and fulfillment, family, community support, kindness, respect, and relationships, and then resilience and perseverance. And the main one that I remember sticking out is the students wanted to know, how can I be resilient once I graduate? Because I know everything is competitive. Going into college is competitive. Trying to get a job is competitive. What do I do? How can I be able to build myself up so that I can be the person that gets that, so that I can do it? Or what can I do so that it doesn't like necessarily make me feel like, well, gosh, they didn't want me. So what skills can you guys give me to help me build that? And so I thought that was really insightful, because that's what students wanted to know, is how can I be successful out there in the real world? And then, so this is our Johns Hopkins redesign team. And I know year one was student agency, and
do you want me to take over here?
oh, sure.
Okay. Yeah, so we've been, just like RFK, we've had the privilege to be working with Johns Hopkins and Everyone Graduate Center for in our student redesign projects, and it's just been an amazing experience on so many levels. The actual work is just a byproduct of everything else that the kids have gained from it. Our first year, yes, was on agency, and we also wanted to focus on attendance. And really quickly, we started talking to the kids about agency and what it meant and how they needed to have it. And then we realized that they didn't even know what agency meant or what having agency meant. So then we took a pivot and we focused our project around teaching kids about having a voice and having choice and having agency and advocacy. And we ended up creating a zine to showcase that and showcase the learning that the students had. Last year, we focused on post-secondary preparation in a project on community connectedness, and not only just tapping into community assets, but creating those community assets and connections with places that you might not consider an asset, like a tire shop or the meat market, and how those community partners and assets can connect us to our own community and become assets and aid in our own personal growth. And so this year we're getting started slowly, and we're excited. And yeah, just like RFK said, just so many benefits. Just these students, we saw them bloom into public speakers, and they became leaders of the school. And now I see them all of them, and from both years, being reached out to and being given more opportunities and being chosen to speak at school board meetings and being chosen to sit on advisory committees and advisory boards. So it's been a really, really beautiful process. So we're super thankful, and we're super grateful to Michelle and all the work she does, and Linda and everyone else, Maria and everyone else too. So. And this was just a little bit of work from our first year. Just what does agency mean? We also did empathy interviews and some shadowing and swaps with teachers. And so that was really really important. And then the next slide is just a little bit from our last year and just creating assets and creating community connections to help us in our future. And hopefully they come back to the community and serve because they see the value in that. That's all I.
Yeah, so this last one, and I know we're running low on time, was just, so we had to go up for charter renewal last night in our district. And one of our goals just moving forward, because of this work that we've taken on, and the schools really thrive because of this work, is really to create a mission-specific goal that is related to agency, belonging, and connectedness. And really it's to enhance those three areas as we move forward for the next 5 years, and really, you know, increase the amount of students that feel agency, the amount of students that feel connected to the school, and the amount of students that feel belonging. And that's one of our goals moving forward as a charter mission specific goal, so that we can really kind of determine if we're on track, if we're really doing what we need to do as a school and really connecting with the kids in a way that we feel is beneficial. And we just want to thank you all. And we can always email questions. If you have questions, we can always answer those questions, or even if we don't get to it today, you can always email us. And we would be happy to answer any questions that you have, share any information or materials that we have, so that you can do what you feel you need to do at your school, or maybe get a program going. We're always happy to help and provide what we've learned, and pitfalls and valleys, but also the heights of hitting the mountain, those types of things.
Thank you, Melissa and Sean. Do we have any questions? Do we have time for questions?
And I don't think Mika introduced herself, but Mika, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. I'm Micaela Trujillo, Mark Armijo Academy. Been here several years under several different hats. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Brian Defoni. I'm the Vice President of Programs at the Philadelphia Education Fund. This was really awesome. And I had a quick question that I put in the chat, but I was just curious about what the school's vetting process is for community partners. Sean, you had mentioned about the importance of it being mutually beneficial, and I think that's a critical aspect of that. And so how do you as a school kind of vet what that community partnership looks like? And then how do you go about, if it isn't necessarily working, how do you have that difficult conversation if a student isn't necessarily feeling set up for success, whether it's from the community partner or the agency standpoint or the school standpoint? Just kind of curious, because I feel like that can be very time consuming and very overwhelming when you start to think about building partnerships like that with community-based organizations outside of the school setting.
Yeah, so it is, initially it's just having conversation, developing relationships with the organizations. It's not probably even discussing what a work-based learning opportunity might look like. It's really just kind of having conversations about maybe some of the programming and what it does look like at Mark Armijo, and then kind of seeing, hey, would that be something you'd be interested? Then it becomes a little more in detail. That's when Melissa starts talking to them about the ins and the outs. We have had a situation where we provided an opportunity at a tattoo parlor. And we thought, like, this is what one of the students wanted to do. They want to be a tattoo artist. We had multiple conversations with that tattoo parlor. Once we placed that student in that opportunity, things, I wouldn't say necessarily went south, but things weren't up to our standard per se, and the student wasn't getting what they thought they were going to get out of the experience as well. So we had a conversation with them, just saying, you know, with this student, it really just didn't work out per se. But we also kind of talked to them about things that maybe in the future, because we also didn't want to necessarily cut them off totally. We wanted them to be able to say, this is the feedback that we got from our student. This is the feedback that we want you to have, so that in the future, if we have this sort of partnership, we all can learn from it. I think a lot of this is just like learning. In truth, it's been learning as we go. I mean, we went 0 to 60 in 2 years. It was basically trying things out, seeing if it works, using that whole design theory, like methodology, like seeing if things work and then pulling back if maybe not, but then trying something different. But ultimately, right, like there is that mutual beneficial partnership, because when we send a kid to the New Mexico Early Learning Academy, the goal for them is actually to hire them when they're done, if they succeed, so that they have a pipeline of early educators. So I think both parties have to figure out what that looks like. But that's through a lot of different conversations. And yes, it is time consuming.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for that response.
And then just to kind of piggy off that is, I do meet with each community partner offsite at their location. I speak to them, let them know the expectation, what it looks like, that I would be doing an interview session with the student and the community partner to make sure it is a good fit, and that the student does feel like there is a good kind of chemistry going there, and for the community partner. And I let the student know that and the community partner, because maybe that's something that the student wants to do, but then gets there and sees the actual layout of the place and realizes like, that's not really something I feel like I can do. And I let the community partner know, like, you know what, the student just really wasn't feeling it, but I'll find another student. Thank you. And so it has happened where students do tell me that, like, I don't feel like that's where I want to go. And I'm like, okay, that's not a problem. Let's find somewhere that you feel like you're going to succeed. So it's always making sure that I make sure that the student feels confident and comfortable going where they're going. And then as well as meeting the community partner, doing visits and making sure everything is going well. And then conversing with the students on campus, like, hey, how's it going? How are things going? Please let me know. Like, I'm your person. So if something's going on and you don't feel like you're being heard, or you feel like you're being respected at a place, let me know and I will step in. I'm your voice. And then I teach them how to approach different situations from there, so that they can start learning these skills.
Thank
So,
you, Brian,
thank
for
you.
that question. That was a really good question. And thank you, Melissa and Sean.